I have become increasingly fascinated by the possibility that gladness is not primarily a concept we manufacture. Rather, I wonder whether it is a genuine physiological actuality, something intrinsic to our living nature, something that precedes thought and language. In this sense, gladness would be a priori, already present before we become aware of it. If this is so, then gladness is not something we create, but something we discover. It is subtle enough that it often escapes notice, revealing itself only as the faintest sense of quiet well-being, a gentle gladness residing in the heart. Certainly, when attention is directed toward it, this background quality becomes more apparent and more vivid within our internal perception. Yet I do not believe that our attention creates it. Rather, attention simply illuminates what was already there. My intuition is that this gladness functions as a kind of continuous background event, quietly accompanying and supporting the ever-changing drama of experience. Behind the shifting thoughts, emotions, ambitions, disappointments, and interactions that occupy the foreground of consciousness, there exists this steady hum of aliveness. It is less an emotion than a physiological affirmation of life itself. For this reason, I think it is incongruous to wear gladness as an overt interpersonal expression. When deliberately projected onto the surface of conversation or social interaction, it can appear artificial, sentimental, or even cloying. Genuine gladness does not announce itself. It need not smile incessantly, nor seek to persuade others of its presence. Its proper place is beneath the surface, as a quiet, sustaining presence rather than a performative display. I think of gladness as the body's own subtle song, the gentle hum of physiological contentment, a silent celebration of the extraordinary fact that this living organism exists at all. Every heartbeat, every breath, every cellular process participates in an ongoing miracle of biological life. Gladness may simply be the organism's tacit recognition of this fact, a background resonance of life delighting, however quietly, in its own existence. I also suspect that this is not uniquely human. Other mammals may well experience this same underlying physiological ease, this quiet affirmation of being alive. What distinguishes us, perhaps, is not the experience itself, but our capacity to become consciously aware of it, to reflect upon it, and to attempt to give it a name. Language allows us to point towards something that may have always been present, though words themselves never fully capture its nature. There is another aspect of this idea that I find equally compelling. It concerns what might be called sympathetic resonance between human beings, a subtle communication that occurs almost entirely behind the scenes of ordinary awareness. My suggestion is that when a person becomes quietly acquainted with this gladness of the heart, not as an idea, but as a living, embodied reality, that state itself may resonate with others. Not through words, persuasion, or overt emotional expression, but through a kind of unspoken physiological attunement. Just as one vibrating string can induce another nearby string to vibrate in sympathy, so too might one settled heart subtly encourage another toward its own innate equilibrium. If such resonance exists, it would operate almost entirely outside conscious awareness. Those who enter the sphere of influence of such a person might notice nothing explicit. No message has been delivered, no doctrine communicated, no emotional performance enacted. Yet something quiet may nevertheless be transmitted, a tacit permission for the nervous system to soften, for the heart to remember its own native gladness. In this view, the deepest influence we have upon one another is not primarily through our opinions or our words, but through the quality of our embodied presence. Gladness, then, is not something to be displayed or taught directly. It is something to be inhabited. Its influence is silent, pervasive, and largely invisible, spreading not by proclamation, but by resonance. Whether these reflections ultimately prove to be scientifically accurate is, to me, almost secondary. They describe an intuition that has become increasingly difficult to ignore, that beneath the turbulence of thought there exists a quiet physiological gladness, and that this hidden current, when consciously recognized and gently sustained, may become one of the most profound gifts we offer both ourselves and those whose lives intersect with our own.